It's time for a trade and get paid. Forex Forecast. It's raining pips out here.
All right, guys, so I'm going to do something a little bit different this week. It's going to be slightly different and kind of out of what I normally do, but I'm going to look at GU this week. And here's the reason why. If you go back on my channel, and especially in the community, and if you follow me on social media, you can see that like last month and the month before, I posted that in July we were going to get our July 28th GDP news. It would probably come in lower than what, it would be a decrease. Higher interest rates are going to end up being the result. And this is the mark of a recession. And so with that news that has come out, I know that they're trying to kind of manipulate it to say we're not in a recession. They're trying to prolong the inevitable and using, falsified and fake interest rates to get more dollars in, which is really only going to add to inflation. It's a really silly plan they have. But with that being said, I want to talk about GU because I think that we're going to have some really good opportunities with what's going on. So we're looking at GBPUSD 4-hour chart, and I want to make sure that we look right here. You have this downward pattern that's kind of happened, and then it's turned around, right? And so you see GBPUSD is going back up. Now, I tell you guys all the time, what do you want to do? You want to zoom out, right? And so when you zoom out, really all we're seeing is a pullback on a much bigger downtrend. And here's the thing about that. Here's what's interesting. At some point, when we look at all this, the US dollar is going to get weaker. It's not going to get stronger as inflation rises, right? So at some point, we're going to see this thing turn around and head back to the upside. And so what I think we're looking at here, obviously you see some really nice structure coming down on GU. And so I want to pay attention right here. When we look at what happened here, we had this really nice rejection of this zone right here. Really nice rejection. You had this movement down, you had this movement back up, and then a beautiful rejection there to close out the week on the 4-hour chart. And then we had this candle here that closed as though the market were going to continue to push up. And then, of course, the week closed. So sometimes when you see that happen, there's a little gap that you'll see the week start with. So there's a potential for a gap right in this area right here. Probably, if I had to guess, which, of course, we don't know exactly what the orders are coming in and whatever else. But just based on the fundamentals right now, I would say that it wouldn't surprise me if you've seen a gap in this area right here. And the reason for that is that the body of that candle right there is going to end up having to be made up by the banks. And so I think that if you get a gap about that size of that candle there, it would be pretty common and pretty normal for us to see a gap in that area. So watch this. We look at that on the 4-hour chart and we see, what's happening. But now I want to take you to the 30-minute chart and show you how we're actually going to apply it. When we look at it on the 30-minute chart, we see some really interesting stuff going on, okay? And so I want you to see here, look how the week closed out on the 30-minute chart. You see all this movement. You had a rally, base, drop. It pushed back up. And then here's what's interesting. Generally, a head and shoulders pattern is a reversal pattern. So in other words, what I mean by that is that we would want to see a full reversal. We would want to see that a head and shoulders would come from this direction, push up, and then come back up, right? Now, when we see a head and shoulders that forms, but it came from this side, what that means is that generally we don't get much more past that. Even if we do get a fulfillment, we could see another push down. Really, what it does is it forms a double top right there. And then we can, of course, trade the neckline break. And what used to be the head on the inverse head and shoulders will become the neck on the double top. So a lot of harmonics, and harmony in the patterns right there. So here's the thing though, watch this. If you look here, you would assume I'm talking about this, right? So you would see, right, that, but that's really not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is much smaller. If you see from here, now that's interesting, because when you look at it from here like that, we have us a nice head and shoulders forming, and look at where it ended. Look at where the week ended, and I'm going to blow that up a little bit for you so you can see it. When you look at where that week ended, it literally ended right at the neckline, right? So if we were to take our channel and drop it right there on that neckline, it literally died right inside the neckline, right at the middle of the neckline. So when we see that happen, what we're seeing is that the banks are saying, hey, this pattern is coming. And so watch this. When we see this move down, this came back up, we formed our head, beautiful, beautiful head right there with the rejection candle. If you see my videos on reduction, rejection, reversal, triple R, that is exactly what we saw right there. Beautiful, beautiful setup. Came back up, tested exactly even on the neck, and then came back down and pushed and stopped dead at the neckline. So what I would be anticipating at this point was, because if you look left a little bit, and that's where it gets interesting, we had some nice structure, right? We had some highs and some lows, and then we had this deeper low before coming back up. And what that would mean is that we're going to get a push to the upside and then another big push back down. So all of that being said and all of that coming together, what I think we end up happening here is this. We end up seeing the push to the upside. We end up getting our head and shoulder fulfillment on the 30-minute chart right here. And then after we see that, we're going to see the retest back in this area right here. Okay? And so we end up getting a pullback to this area right here. And then it has decision to make right in here. And then that becomes our swing zone right there. So once we get that move to the upside, which I do believe will happen, we could get a gap, and then we push up, we fill the gap, we come up here, we get a retest to the downside, and then I think at that point it's really about filling out this zone right here, okay? And so it depending on where that rejection comes to, if it pulls back and comes down to here, or that retracement, not rejection, if it comes down into here, I'd be expecting it to drop. If it comes back more shallow, like here, I'd be expecting one more push up before the next drop. So either way, we're happy. We're just going to ride, we're going to do what the market gives us to do. But this is a really nice setup. And then here's the next thing that is real interesting about it, is when we look at it this way, remember the old strategy that we've taught you many, many times, my fan strategy. When you look at that, I mean, look at how beautiful this is right here, right? And you start to look at that, this is incredibly powerful, where you're literally just taking structure and trading from structure to structure. So the next breakout right here, if you see how that would come up, that next breakout right here would be the push there, comes down. Let me get my annotation back. Pushes up here, breaks back down, comes through here, breaks back down, pushes down to the downside, and that gives us a really nice week in the market. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. After that, who knows? It could shoot back up. We'll see what happens. But with the US dollar getting the news that we got this week with GDP, I do expect some downside for USD. I think that there's going to be some, fake push movement up. But, people are not spending money. So at the end of the day, USD is going to fall some more. So I think that we're going to end up seeing some downside movement before we ever see any more real, true bulls in the market. Long-term bulls in the market. So guys, yeah, that's what I'm expecting to happen this week on GU. And a little change of pace this week. Instead of doing GA gold, I'm showing you GU just because with GDP. And I hope it helps you out. So if you're a GU trader, this is what you should be expecting. I'm probably gonna do some GU trading this week and send out some trades on GU just so I can kind of show you guys what we have going on in that. And who knows? We'll catch some trade setups and let's eat together. All right. So guys, I'll see you in the next one. All right, guys. That's your Forex forecast for this week. I hope the value from this video helps you to make big profits from the markets. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.